Hey, how you doing today? I am Taquila Coleman. In today's video, we're going to talk about covenant children. So I'm going to deliver this word the way how the Lord gave it to me. So yesterday, as I was looking inside of my notebook, I have a notebook where I have my go-to scripture, right? But in this notebook, I turned to the page where I have a list of the covenants God made with the people in the Bible. And so as I'm looking over the covenants God made, I'm looking at covenant of peace, covenant of circumcision, covenant of a suitable helper, and then my eyes go down to covenant of a son. And that's when everything began to just freeze. Like it's almost as if God just stopped the time and he just downloaded the message into me that I'm going to share with you today. Okay. So God, this word isn't for everyone. For those of you who this word is for, you will know. But God has promised some of you children. He has came and showed you uh, that you will have children in the future with your God ordained spouse. Okay, He may have revealed this to you in a dream or in a vision. Okay, so understand that God is making. He has made His covenant with you. He's promising you children in the future. Okay, so let's go to Bible. Let's go inside the Bible and take a look at this. Genesis chapter 15. We're going to read verses 1 through 4. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Let's stop right there. The word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. So, what Abram is about to hear from the Lord or see, he's getting it through a vision. Okay. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. Verse 2. But Abram said, O sovereign Lord, what can you give me since I remain childless? And the one who will inherit my estate is, let me get his correct pronunciation, Eliezer of Damascus. Verse 3. And Abram said, You have given me no children, so a servant in my household will be my heir. Verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came to him, This man will not be your heir, but a son coming from your own body will be your heir. Now remember, he's getting this through a vision. Okay. Um, so let's stop right there. Okay. So God is telling him this through a vision. All right. Now, when you go over to Deuteronomy 28, okay, because I want you all to really get understanding um about God. When you go to Deuteronomy 28, we're going to read verses 1 through 4. Now, this is up under blessings for obedience, okay? It say, if you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. So, in order for you to receive these blessings from God, in order for Abram to be able to receive this promised child, okay, the instructions are if you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commands I give you today. Okay? It goes on to say, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations on earth. All these blessings will come upon you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. So when it right here where it says verse 2, all these blessings will come upon you and accompany you, meaning it's gonna these blessings because of your obedience and because you have been keeping the Lord's commandment, these blessings are going to come upon Abram's life and his children's lives. Okay, same situation with you. If you fully obey the Lord your God and keep his commandments, God is not only going to bless you with children and other blessings are going to come upon your life, but these blessings are going to now roll over into your children's lives. Okay. Verse 3. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. Verse 4. The fruit of your womb will be blessed. Okay. You see that? The fruit of your womb will be blessed. So again, God promised Abram a child. He will have a son. That's coming from his own body. Okay, God has been promising you. You have seen this in a vision or a dream. He has been promising some of you children. Okay, now Let's continue on in this. Let's go to Genesis chapter 16. So in Genesis 16, okay, Abram already let Sarah know, about what God revealed to him about a child coming from his own body. In Genesis 16, Sarah's faith was tested. And we see how it was tested because Sarah, you know, Genesis 16, verse 1, it say, now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, the Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her. So she began to lose faith. And she began to come up with these bright ideas. Okay, this was actually a demonic idea. Okay, to try to have this promise, try to give birth to this promise through a counterfeit. Okay, and so understand when God gives you dreams or a vision of, He promising you children, in the future, do not get impatient. Do not, get in the way and start birthing counterfeit children. Okay. Wait on God. It's a process to God. Okay. So we see how her faith was tested. She didn't really have that much faith in God. So she got impatient. That's how you know when you don't have faith, because you begin to get impatient with the Lord, and then you begin to, take matters into your own hand. Okay. Now let's look at Genesis chapter 17, and we're going to read verse 15. It said, God also said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarah. Her name will be Sarah. Um, I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. Now listen, because I got to point some of these things out. So we see how God is changing their name. When you scroll up, in chapter 17, God changed Abram's name to Abraham. Okay. So let's go back. In chapter 15, God revealed to Abram, you're gonna have a son. It's gonna come from your own body. Chapter 16, we see Sarah, faith is being tested, right? And she get impatient and she create this counterfeit child. Okay. Then in chapter 17, we see God is changing their name. Okay. It's a process to God. Now, let's translate this into today's time. When God changes your name, this is your mantle. Okay. So my name Taquila. But when God changed my name, now my name became Prophetess Taquila. Okay. Now my name became Woman of God, Wife. Are you following me here? Okay. So God changed in chapter 17, he changed both of their names to Abraham and Sarah. Okay. Let's go to verse 19 in Genesis chapter 17. It says, then God said, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son. Wait a minute. Okay. Verse 19, then God said, yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. Now, you see how he gave him the name? He said, you will call him Isaac. For some of you, God has already given you your children's name. He has already given you, the name that he wants you to name your child when that appointed time comes. Okay? It goes on to say, I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful, and he will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. Verse 21. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac. God's covenant is with the promise child, not the counterfeit child. Okay? God's covenant, he made it with Isaac, not Ishmael. So again, do not go ahead of God and get in your own way by creating these counterfeit children, because God's covenant, his blessings are going to come upon the promised child. Okay, he's going to bless the other children, but the covenant is made with that promised child. Okay, now let's go to Genesis chapter 18 and let's read verses 11 through 14. Okay, let me find it. Okay. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. Some of you are feeling like, God, you know, I can't be waiting all day. I'm getting up there at age. Some of you are feeling this way. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought. Um, let's go up. Let's go up to verse 10. It said, Then the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. You see how he's still confirming it. God is still showing up in your dream, giving you vision of these children, right? Now Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh and say, Will I really have a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Understand, understand this child is going to come at its appointed time. So stop looking at your age. Okay. Stop allowing the enemy to attack you with, oh, it's going to take 10, 20 years before, God release your spouse to you and y'all have children. Stop telling yourself it's over for you. You're not going to be able to have children. The devil is a lie. Okay. You got to begin to say what God says is anything too hard for the Lord. If he did it for Sarah, he could do it for you. Okay. And then when you turn the page, when you go over here to Genesis chapter 21, verse 1, now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him. Okay, so we already see the promise manifested. But during the promise, listen, I just took you through this journey. So when God revealed to Abram in a vision, you're a child, you're gonna have a child, it's gonna come from your own body. There was a process he had to go through. God was looking to see Abraham, are you going to fully obey me? Are you going to trust what I say? Are you going to stay in faith? He gave those same requirements to Sarah as well. But we see, where Sarah kind of lost faith by, bringing Hagar into the mix and creating this counterfeit child, right? But even when we get in the way, God still said, My promises are still coming forward. Okay, I'm still going to bless you because you are my child. And I want this covenant child to come to pass, okay, in the future. And so understand it's a process to God, okay? God is looking to see, are you going to walk before God and be blameless? He's looking to see, are you going to fully obey him? Are you going to, keep his commandments? Are you going to stay in faith? Are you going to trust what God told you? Will God begin to change your name? Will you begin to step into prophetess, apostle, pastor, teacher, evangelist? When they begin to say, hey, woman of God, hey, man of God, okay? When you begin to see yourself already married as a wife or a husband, you're in the process. And just know that this child, your promised child, is coming at its appointed time. Okay? So with that, I am Taquila Coleman. I'll talk to you all real soon. Take care.